Hi, welcome to Carly's Niche. In this episode, I'll be sharing an interesting topic with you guys called journaling with God. Now, when you hear that, you typically think you just journal your thoughts with God and you just like a diary and you just share your thoughts with God. But I'm actually talking about journaling with God and actually hearing God's perspective on your situations. So, God just really wanted me to share this with you guys. I started journaling, I guess, 10 years ago, and I was journaling, asking God some personal questions about relationships in my life, just situations I was going through, anxieties, whatever. Like, I could ask Him a question, why am I stressed about this situation? And I'd actually feel like sometimes God would give me a response to those specific needs that I had at that moment, or revelation to that person's life as to why they were treating me that way, or seeing the good in people when I was seeing the bad. I mean, there's various examples, but anyways, I just want to share this with you guys. I was going to give you a little excerpt of one journal entry I did recently, just like a sample of what I can do, and then I'm going to share with you guys a guy called Matthew Robert Payne who um, who does journaling too. So, like I said, I started journaling about 10 years ago, and then 5 years ago I stopped. And then I just happened to come across an ebook by Matthew Robert Payne, and he did the same thing. And I was, he's got books out that you need to check out. That he has on Kindle, Conversations with God 1, 2, and 3. And anyway, so I read some of his stuff, and I was thinking, okay, I'm like, before when I just stopped writing to God because I thought, okay, it's in my mind, it's illusionary, it's not really from God, etc., etc. And then I picked up one of his books, and I noticed him talking and him just saying, like similar things that I would to God, and the way that God responded was kind of simple and plain. Sometimes that God responded to me, and I mean, God responds to everybody differently, but I thought, okay, maybe there's something to it. So picked up my pen and I started asking God questions again, and I really find it's a, not maybe not everything's from God, but it's a prophetic exercise. At least it gets your thoughts moving and productive. But I actually do think it's divinely inspired, and I do really think it's God speaking to you. Maybe there's human influence in there, but I still think it's from God. So, anyways, let me share this with you, and then I'll share a little thing that Matthew Robert Payne said in one of his books, and I have his permission to share it. So, um, anyways, I will start with. So I kind of do it where I ask a question. So it says Carly, and then it says God. And I know for some people this might sound crazy, and I totally respect that. But for me, it's just when you want to talk to your father, your heavenly father, and know his thoughts on certain things. And I mean, the worst you could be doing is just processing your own thoughts, right? So I could be totally wrong about all of this, but at least it helps me get answers. But I do believe it's actually from God. So, but you can think what you like. But so with God, Carly and God. So the question I ask God is, what do you think of my poetry? Because I just was in a low. Let me just say this: I was in a low season with my poetry, feeling kind of defeated. So I wanted some inspiration. So I said to him, "What do you think of my poetry?" God replied, "I love your poetry. I find it very uplifting. It's most important what I think what I think of it as compared to what others think, because I'm the one who gave you the gift." And then I said, "Why do I struggle?" I said, "Thanks, Papa, for the encouragement. Why do I struggle with sharing it sometimes, or finding it inspiration for ideas?" And God said, "Because it's really dear to your heart, and I give everyone gifts, and the closer they become to me, the more they want to share that gift. But rest in me. Sometimes you don't need to share it all the time. Trust me, and I will tell you when to share it." And then he said, "I love you." And I said, "I love you too, Papa. Good night." And God said, "Good night." So that's just, sometimes the conversations are longer and stuff, but that was just a brief conversation I did. So, and then the other thing I want to share with you is So there's this guy I was telling you about named Matthew Robert Payne, and he has 3 books out where he talks to God in kind of a similar dialogue. And in his book of book 3, on his chapter 12, called Trouble, I just really felt God's God's divine hand on this, and I really wanted to share this with you guys. So it's a little long, but I hope you guys enjoy it. And once again, it is in the middle of the night right now. I'm going to try and stay up today so that my sleep can return to normal. It's so funny for people to read. They must want to forever sleep correctly. God. Perhaps your sleeping cycle is an image of the normal Christian life. Perhaps people have their understanding of the Christian life all backwards. When they should be talking to us, perhaps they're relying on men and other solutions. I guess the people of God would enjoy having a relationship like you have. They would like having your relationship be normal to them. I enjoy coming down to see you, Matthew. It is so good to come and sit on your sofa and speak to you. I like how I can just be myself around you, and I don't have to be careful with how I speak to you and speak through your doctrine or your beliefs to better communicate with you. I love how I can just share my heart with you and eventually your readers. Matthew. I would love to think that I can make most people feel that. I hope that I can make most people feel comfortable to share what's on their mind. I'm pretty open and loving, and I hope that I demonstrate grace wherever I go. But it's so good to hear that you feel comfortable enough to speak your mind freely with me. I would not want you to think about that. I would not want you to think that you'd have to speak like an Old Testament God. I enjoy speaking to you in an easy to understand, down to earth language. I guess some people might not think that you can speak like this. God. I am the same as any human. If I were to talk about golf, you would have a certain language that you would talk to another golfer. As a Christian, you can talk to other Christians on different levels, depending on their walk. If you were a scientist and if you were talking to a scientist, you would talk in a specific way. You are a simple person. You like to speak simply, so I speak in your language and your words so you can understand. I can talk to a golfer, I can talk to a theologian, I can speak to a scientist, and no matter where a person's coming from, I can speak to them right where they are at. I know all things. Matthew, that is amazing. You know all things. I'm not sure I'd want to know all things. It seems like too much responsibility would be involved in knowing everything. I'm just happy to know what I know and to slowly increase the knowledge and understanding as time goes. I've had people comment to me that they enjoy the simplicity of your messages. I guess in their simplicity they can be quite profound. God, there is great wisdom in keeping things simple. Jesus told simple parables, yet they're quite profound once you look into them. The trick is having the courage to be simple in the way you communicate. Some people are so educated they cannot help themselves from speaking in a complex way. That is fine if your readers are also educated people, but it can be an issue for people like you to try and read. I enjoy you are simple with no pretenses. You have an amazing relationship with Jesus, one that is very rare, but you don't boast, or try and make other people feel bad they don't have the same relationship that you have. It is sad that some people are proud and cannot help communicating with that pride. Can help but communicating with that pride. It's been so many years and a lot of trials and tests, but you've dealt with the most of your pride. You have become a sweet ambassador of Jesus Christ to this world. I want you to know that I enjoy you. This world has a lot of troubles, and many people in dire straits. So much trouble is going around. It's really heartbreaking to be God and to see and experience all the heartache in this world. It really causes me a lot of pain. I suffer watching all with no way to help people. Can you imagine a father helping by men and could not do anything about it? The father would suffer so much anguish. Well, Matthew, I am that father. I watch millions and millions of people being abused all day, every day, so many times. The people being abused cannot be set free. Some people are suffering, and a Christian could reach out to them and help them, but the Christian doesn't even acknowledge them or their suffering. What breaks my heart is that the world could have a lot less suffering in it if the church and Christians weren't so selfish with their money and how they choose to spend it, yet they don't even seem to get the message. People can be homeless and suffering right in front of their eyes, and many of my people will not look at them or acknowledge them in their suffering, let alone give them something to eat or take them in. I am overcome by the trouble and the suffering in the world. When people suffer, I suffer. I guess the people of the world don't really know that I suffer, or else they might do something about it. I get so sad. According to many people, it's almost blasphemy for me to say that I suffer and that I'm sad. The concept people have of God does not include God weeping and getting down. They have this idea that heaven is full of praise and worship and that I'm joyful all the time. This is why it's so refreshing for me to be able to come to earth and speak to you and not hold anything back. I don't have to be anything special or twist your arm to listen to me. I don't have to hide my feelings. We simply try to stay on one topic for each chat so the book has some order, yet you allow me to speak. And so that's a snippet of what I want to read, and I hope you enjoyed it. And I just want to say that really check out Matthew Payne's books, Conversation with God 1, 2, and 3. He speaks with such, I mean, God's messages, of course, are profound, but Matthew's character is very mature and he speaks with a lot of gentleness and wisdom. So I hope you check it out. And thanks for watching. And that was only a snippet of Matthew Robert Payne book, uh, Conversation with God, Part 3 in his chapter, Trouble. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope this also encourages you to start your own conversations with God and to journal. And don't be afraid of asking him any questions, but don't be surprised if you ask him a question and he answers with the question. But it's always with your best interest in mind. So thank you for watching, and up here is a sub box, and I hope you subscribe, and thank you so much for watching. Take care.